I think it's becoming less important, just from the standpoint of the way the chase format is. You only need to be top 30 in points, and it really all comes down to wins. Unless of course you don't have a win, then it comes down to points. But if you can win a race early in the season, you throw caution to the wind. You try to get all the wins you can get preparing for the chase, and I think that leads itself to more aggressiveness and taking more chances and less emphasis on finishing races.
Who's the toughest driver you have to drive race and all the big ones that happen?
Yeah, I mean, at super speedways, I think the more time you can spend in front, the better. Everybody has different strategies, but if you ride around the back, you still got to get to the front eventually if you want to win, and you still got to put yourself in those spots. So I've learned here through experience that there's no place that's totally safe on a super speedway. Anything can happen anywhere, but certainly, I'd like to be in, run up front all day if you can. It's the safest spot, I think, and you can control the race a little bit more.
Of course, when you get into a mishap or mayhem or whatever you want to call it, a crash, you tend to be a little bit more apprehensive about how the crash is going to go down and how many times you're going to hit or how hard you're going to hit things, and knowing that bigger, worse things can happen, you try to not think about, but it's always on your mind. When you can get out front, it tends to be easier to hold guys off. Yes, the problem is being able to get out front, because it is easier for that front guy to hold people off. So if that guy's a pretty smart guy like a Denny Hamlin or a Dale Earnhardt Jr. or somebody like that that's good at restrictor plate racing, it's hard to get by those guys. And so it makes it a little bit tougher for the guys that are farther on back to make up time and to get up towards the lead.
What do you think about?
Well, each event is slightly different. When we're here in July, it's different than February. The Sprint Unlimited is different than the duels. Each race has its own element of blocking versus risk versus reward.
Decisions made by others give you your opportunity. You look in the mirror the entire lap around the racetrack and try to set up. You drag the brake to push all the cars back, and then eventually that energy comes back forward. And if the timing's right and the energy gets to you and you get the nudge to go forward, you can make a move. So to set all that up is virtually impossible. You just get lucky. It's timing, it's circumstances that lead to an offensive move. All the other tracks we race at, if you're better, you go up there and take it from the guy. And that's what makes plate racing so difficult and the 500 so difficult to win, because there isn't a roadmap.
Well, I think it's getting easier to hold guys off simply because we're getting smarter and more knowledgeable. And I think there's more guys getting more knowledgeable with the draft. And even, I was actually surprised, though, with how many lead changes that there were back and forth. Even though it was just between a few drivers on Saturday night, I had a tough time holding off the pack once they got a big run. So I think our package is really, really good. It promotes good racing. We don't have any of that tandem drafting anymore. So I think we've got a package here that can last for a long time.
If you weren't racing,
yeah, you don't come in with a strategy. You just have a style of driving that you just do all the time. You don't start the race going, you know what, we're going to take the lead on lap this. We're going to pass. We're going to pit on this lap. We're going to hold them off, and you don't make this plan. Or there's no real, there's strategy to what the pit crew is going to do and what they want to accomplish. But the driver's just out there making choices based on instinct and what's happening around him. It's just sort of like you walk through this maze all day long, making choices on right or left, straight, and when it comes down to like 10 to go, you kind of take stock into what you did and see, all right, am I in position to win? And if you are, you'd made some good choices that day. You don't really, think about it or make a plan. It's basically just instinct throughout the day.
being a rock star.
So, in my opinion, you can't take enough downforce away. The idea of NASCAR going back towards a stock race car that's not relying on aerodynamics that's key for the success of our sport. It's more fun to drive. You can race closer. It's more in the driver's hands, and I applaud NASCAR. It was up to me. The cars have no downforce, and it'd be great racing, just like it was in, for most of the history of the sport.
Does it feel
So this race is from a guy who finished second here one time, that's a hard one to have to move on from, because you think, man, what could I have done to do a better job and to win that race? So, I mean, the last lap of this race, if you get the chance to win it, you want to take it right then, because it's it's once a year and might be once in a lifetime.
So tell me this is a really
I don't care about surviving. I want to win. I want to win or whatever happens. Anything between the two doesn't really matter to me. This is not about a race to survive. This is about winning the Daytona 500. I don't even know if I'm being running for points this year. So for me, it's just, it's just go out there and make the most of this race.
have you talked to on the track?
There's no way to not think about the history while you're out on the track as a driver. It means a lot to all of us. Any success you have here is, of course, magnified throughout the season and for the rest of your career, and that makes you very passionate about it. Of course, you have a couple extra weeks to prepare, which it always seems like whenever you have an extra week to prepare for something, or month or 2 months, whatever it might be, that you do, and you put a lot of thought into it, and that makes Daytona so very special for us.